Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Mr. Vosters. I am a high school tech ed and engineering teacher, and I'm doing a short video series on an introduction to Revit, which is a building inventory management software that's used for modeling. So, in this video, we're going to be actually beginning on modeling this home here. So we'll be making the floors based off this floor plan. This is just a local house I found on Zillow. Had lots of pictures and it also had a floor plan. So I thought it would be a good example to model for us. So this is what our finished product should look like after this video. Again, I'm working off of the floor plan that's provided here. Let's jump back to this one here. So I'm going to use this and kind of trace out the outline of our floors. I'm going to make some assumptions as we go, and I'm going to try to simplify a few of these features like this little tiny bump out. I'm just going to ignore some of those things to keep things simple here since this is an introduction series anyways. So if you have a different floor plan that you want to build it off of, you can certainly do that. I'll try to provide a link to this image here so that you guys can import it just like I do. But again, you can use your own example if you'd like to. If you're in my architectural drafting class, you'll use this example, and then later on you'll have a chance to model your own house in the course. So let's begin with a new file. I'm just going to close out of some of these so that they're not cluttering up everything up here. So let's go to File, New. We're going to do an Imperial Multidisciplinary Template, New Project. Okay, while that loads, we're going to go to the Insert tab, click on Import Image. I'm just going to load in my floor plan file, and then I'll just place it right in the middle here. Placement's not super critical right now. But you do want it to be kind of within the bounds of our sheet here. So with this, it's not going to be perfectly to scale, but thankfully, whoever made this floor plan did provide us with some dimensions. So it looks like it's this room here at the home office. We can use that as kind of our reference. So it says it's 10 foot 6 from left to right, 12 foot 6 from top to bottom. Or at least that's what I'm assuming, just because it looks like it's shorter here, longer here. So I'm just going to measure that real quick just to check how far off we are. So if I measure this, it says we're 11, almost 12 feet. So clearly that's not going to fly. If we just measure, again, the measure tool is right up at the top here usually. You can also get to it from the Modify tab. So if you click Measure, and then measure top to bottom, this is about almost 14 feet. So yeah, we're off. And just in case I rush through it there, to insert the image, I'm going to the Insert tab and then clicking Import Image. So with our image here, we can actually scale this to whatever we want. And if you click the Modify, we'll click on your image. And then if you're under Modify, you can click this little symbol here. It says Scale. You can also type RE to resize. There's some keyboard shortcuts. Usually they're indicated with the parentheses there. You can see Scale, and then it says in parentheses RE. That will resize an image. So let's click on the distance that we want. So I'm just going to go from the outside edges of each wall for this room. Then once I click that, now you can see if I zoom out, I'm actually now scaling the entire image based on that distance. So we said we wanted this room to be 10 foot 6 in this dimension or in this direction. So if I do that now and click, it resized my image. So if I click here, there's actually probably even a better way to do this. So it's about 10 foot 6 now. But what I could have also done, and what I probably should have done, was just use this. And I can double check here and here. and it should be 9 foot 8 inches. It's not, so maybe I wasn't supposed to click on the outside edge of the wall. Let's actually just resize our image so that this is 9 foot 8. I feel like that would be smarter. So if I do resize here and here, why is it not working? Hold on. Let's try that again. So resize, click our two edges, and then we want that to be 9 foot 8 inches, just like that. Okay, that's pretty good. So now if I go back up to here, let's just see how accurate this is. Maybe if I go from inside of the wall to inside of the wall, yeah, that's about 10.6, 10 foot 3. So we're in the ballpark. And since this is not it's not a professional project, we're really just trying to get in the ballpark. We're using this house as a reference. It doesn't need to be an exact duplicate, but I'll just check another measurement here. That's about 12 foot 4 inches. So we're close enough. And I think we're good to go ahead and begin modeling our floors. So we can move this around if we need to still, but once we've started placing our floors, we're not going to want to move this again until we're finished. So do not move this around once you've kind of got it set. So to make our first floor, we want to make sure we're on our L1. But before we even proceed any further, let's set up our basement level and our second floor to be kind of how we want. We'll also set up the roof level so that we can kind of make sure the second floor height is set appropriately. All right, so in order to make a new level, first we want to just jump to an elevation so we can see these levels. So right now we've got L1 and L2. So L1 will be our first floor. Call that our ground floor. L2 will be our second floor. And if you look through the drawings, this one's got I think it indicates on the floor plan as well, it's got a 9-foot ceiling. So in order to give some space for the second floor thickness, let's just make this 10 feet. And then our basement, if we go to the architecture tab, we can create a new level. So let's zoom out a little bit, and we're going to try to line it up with the end of this one to the best of our ability. So we'll go down, let's go down 9 feet. It doesn't look like this has a finished basement, so we don't really need to have that high of a ceiling. I suppose you could, but we're not going to. So I'll just try to line it up with this one before I click. If I actually kind of drag it and then place my mouse up here, it'll show that little pink X. That means that it is lined up. So we can now double click there, rename this basement, hit enter. Would I like to rename corresponding views? I would. I do want to rename these views. Now it should show up as basement in some of these other floor plans that are showing. Okay. Looks like it really just renamed this one. So we've got our basement. Let's also create a level for the roof. So let's try to get it lined up with the rest of these. That's going to be, let's see, if we want to have 9-foot ceilings on the second floor, which I think they do have, we would need to set this at, I believe, 29, which would put it 10 feet above our second floor. So hit escape a few times to kind of get out of that. Otherwise, it'll make you keep making, it'll ask you to kind of keep making levels, which we don't want. So it's not what we're trying to do there. So if you hit escape, it'll kind of take you out of the level command and allow you to click on other things. So here we can just rename this roof level. Let's rename the corresponding views. And then from here, we can actually start drawing our floors. So I'm going to use this image as kind of a guide for making our floors. Let's just start on level 1 and make sure you're in the architecture tab. From here, you should be able to click floor. And we don't want to just create a generic floor. we're going to create a wood finish, which I'm just basing that off of our images of the ground floor. If you look through the ground floor, pretty much all of it is a wood finish, or at least this kind of like laminate type finish. Once you get up to the second floor, now you've got carpet everywhere, but the bathrooms, those are tiled. And there's a couple images right at the very end here. This, I believe, is the utility room on the first floor, which I'll jump back to the floor plan. Hold on. Yeah, if I go back to the very, very beginning, we can see our floor plan. We've got our little powder room and mud room. That was the last images I showed you. Those were also wood flooring. So this entire first floor, except for the garage and the covered porch, are going to be wood finish. So the porch is going to be concrete. The garage also will be concrete. We're not going to worry that the garage and the first floor are probably actually different levels. There's probably like a step or two to get up there because you can see we've got a step from the sidewalk up to here and then another step up into the house. That's typical. You don't want your first floor to be right at the grade. However, just to keep things a little bit simpler here, we're going to make it all the same height. Again, this is not a all totally kosher. We're just gonna simplify things just so you can learn the basics of Revit here. So I created a floor, I selected wood finish, and now I can start to actually trace the outline of my floor. So let's just start in the top left kind of corner of our kitchen there. And then I click this little line tool so that allows me to just place lines to kind of create an outline of our floor. It's going to go all the way. Let's just kind of put it here so that we can simplify the geometry of our garage. Let's try to kind of split that one. And then we'll go up to here. This is all going to be our wood finish. We'll go there. Come right up to the corner of our mudroom. And then as I kind of move it over here, I want it to snap vertically to this one. It's hard to see, but when I do get it to snap, there's like a dashed blue line. Because I just wanted this to be simple. I don't want it to be like an angled line. So I'll click there, and then once I snap it to the corner, it'll have this little pink box. I can click to kind of enclose that. Okay, now if this were all different types of flooring, we would have to like complicate the geometry here. And we'll see that on the second floor. But for this one, we're just going to just about finish that. We do need to cut out an area for the stairs. So I'm going to go up to my draw toolbar here and click the rectangle tool, which will allow me to create a rectangle to cut away those stairs. So I'll just place it right there. And if I click my green check mark, we should see that the floor is now in place and I can view that floor. If I go to a 3D view, we can see right here we do have our 3D wood flooring. If I switch this to shaded, you can see that it is our wood finish. It's even got a little bit of a pattern there, so it's kind of nice. Let's go back to our L1 and finish by making our concrete for our garage and our covered porch. Now the covered porch, we can see it does go all the way to the edge of the house here, so I'm going to draw it that way. I'm not sure why the floor plan that we imported, the image, just shows it kind of to here. So we'll extend it all the way out. So I'm going to go back to my architecture tab, click on floor again, and then in the drop down, since I don't want a wood finish for my garage, I'm going to find concrete 10-inch. The thickness in a real house may be different than this, but I'm going to try to make all my floors the same thickness just to keep things simple so we don't have any like lips around the house. So I'm going to go back to my draw toolbar and click the line tool so we can create some straight lines. I'm just going to go right off the edge of our, our powder room. It's really a bathroom. And then I'm just going to trace the edges of the garage to the best of my ability. Right up here. Again, we don't want to go to this corner. We're going to go all the way to this corner. And if I get this right, maybe it will work. Kind of want it to snap, but let's just put it out here. We can use that as a learning tool here. So then if I go there, let's go all the way back to our other corner and then just kind of trace these corners to finish just like that. So this one, remember, I did not want to look like that. So we can use what's called the align tool. So let's get out of our line tool by hitting the escape key a couple times. Then if we go up to align, we'll see if we can get this to work. If we click on the thing we want to align it to, which is this outside edge, and then we click our thing we want to align, this, it will actually kind of snap it so that the edges do line up. So it's a nice tool, the align tool. You will use that frequently to try to align things so that your project looks a little more neat or to get it to look how you want. So I go back to the modify create floor boundary. I can now click the green check. We should have a concrete garage and porch attached right to our first floor here. All right, so now that we've got our first floor kind of modeled up here, let's begin on our second floor. So from my project browser, I'm going to select L2 for my second floor, and you can see here that we do have kind of a faded view of our first floor. That's going to be really helpful to us because we're going to kind of use the first floor to trace the outline of the second. If I jump back here, you can see the shape of the second floor roughly matches up with this chunk of our first floor. And if I look at pictures of the house, we should see that as well. If I jump all the way to the end, they have some exterior images of the house, and we can see, yep, the second floor does line up with that first floor corner, except for that little chunk here and parts of the garage. So here we can see the second floor does go slightly over the garage in that kind of top right corner of the garage. So we're going to use that information to model our second floor. Just going to jump back to my floor plan. Just to recap, we're going to line up this corner with this corner, and then everything else will pretty much line up except this little tiny bump out. I'm going to get rid of this little bump out just to keep things slightly simpler. This we can take measurements of. I believe when I was kind of going through this ahead of time, it's bumping out 1 foot 6 inches, and then it comes over 11 foot 6 from this bedroom, and then it's 11 foot 9 across. So we can use that information as we jump back to our floor plan. And we're going to create a floor. Now, we did talk about this previously, but the second floor is going to be mostly carpet, except for the bathrooms, which are tile. So when we're drawing this, we will need to import that image just to kind of line it up and make sure that we are putting the tile and the carpet in the right places. So just to start, I'm going to make it all carpet since I think that will be slightly easier. We can always trim and remove everything after the fact to get those tiled areas in there. So I'll click on the floor tool. We don't really have, we want to have a 10-inch floor again just to keep things kind of the same. So I'm going to actually, instead of selecting this carpet finish, I'm going to select wood finish, and then I'm going to create a copy of this that uses carpet instead of wood. So if I go to edit type, it will open up this type properties window, and then I can click duplicate, and I'm going to rename this. Instead of 10-inch wood finish, I'm going to call it 10-inch carpet finish, and then I'll click OK. That, just changing the name of it does not change it to be carpet. So I have to click on the structure where it says edit, and you can see the structure of our floor now. We see that the exterior finish is oak flooring. We've got the interior structure, which is plywood sheathing, and a wooden joist. So in order to change the top layer, I'm going to change from oak flooring to carpet. So I'm going to click on this material, and then when I see this little box in the corner, I click on that. That's going to bring up the material browser, and if I click in there and type carpet, it should come up with a existing carpet design that we can use. If I just double click this, it should apply it. Looks like it does. If you wanted to have like different color carpet in here, you could change that. So right now the appearance is this kind of like gray beige color they're calling Berber. If I click here, I could change, well, if I turned off use render appearance, I could change this color to match more of our gray that we see in the pictures here. But I'm not going to mess with it just because I don't want anything to get screwed up. So I'll just click OK, click OK again, click OK again, and now I should have the new carpet finish flooring selected over there. So now I can start drawing my outline of the second floor. So I'm just going to bring this down all the way to some of our corners here. And even if I don't get this dotted line to show up, kind of aligning me with that far edge, I could just draw it here and there, and I could use my align tool. So I could click the thing we want to align to, which is this line, and then click the thing we want to align, which is that. So that's just a little refresher on how to use that align tool. So that's our second floor. We do also need to do a cutout for the stairs. The cutout for the stairs on the second floor is slightly smaller than the cutout for the stairs on the first floor, which we'll see once we upload that image. So I'll click the green check just to kind of get that created. Now if we go to our 3D view, we can see that we do have kind of a different finish, and we can see it's floating slightly above our first floor. So it's coming together pretty well so far. Let's go ahead and go back to our first floor. We're going to need to pull this image. So if I just click on it and then hit Control C to copy it, and then Control V to paste it on the second floor plan, I should be able to do that. Now all I'm going to do is just kind of get it roughly in the same location of where we drew that floor plan. Now if I just like left everything in the same spot and then tried to trace the second floor, then it would be in like a totally different part of the house. So that's why I did it the way that I did. And now we can just kind of line this up. So I can use the arrow keys on my keyboard to get it kind of close. This doesn't need to be perfect, but I do want to just be able to use it to kind of get everything where I want. If I zoom in a little bit more, maybe these adjustments will be slightly smaller, which it looks like they are. So that's pretty good. You can see a faint outline all the way around, which tells me we have it in pretty much the right spot. So now, if I click on my floor and I click on Edit Boundary, now I'm going to be allowed to edit that pink border that I created before. So from here, I do need to add this little bump out. So that should be fairly easy to do with this outline here now. So I can use what's called the split element tool. So if I click that, then I can split this line anywhere that I click. So if I click there, now I have this line and this line. They're like touching each other, but they're not the same line anymore. So I can split it there, hit escape a couple times to get out of that split element tool. Then I can delete that line that we had created and create a new line starting from that edge and go all the way to this edge. All right, so in order to fix this, I'm just going to click the point in the corner, drag it so that it's straight on, and then I'm going to use what's called the trim tool. So if I click this line and this line, it does trim that the way that I want it. This doesn't still look quite vertical. Let me make sure that it is. It says 90 degrees there, so maybe I should just trust that it is in the right spot now. Okay, so let's zoom out, and we should be able to now also do some trims around where our bathrooms are. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'll do a split. So I'll do a split element, click on this, split it there, split it there. We're also going to do a split up here and here. Okay, hit escape a few times. We're just going to go ahead and delete these lines that we split away from our wall. We'll click the boundary. We'll just kind of go over to our edges here. I am getting the dashed line showing that I'm even with this other point here, which is good. We do want to be even with that. So then from here, we'll click up at the top. Let's try to get this kind of in the right position. And then we're going to go all the way down here. It looks like I accidentally split this in kind of the wrong spot. Not the end of the world. We'll just connect it here, and then we'll use the trim tool. Click there and there to trim it. Let me just undo that real quick. The thing with the trim tool, you always want to click on the parts of the line that you want to keep. So if I clicked here and here, it's going to trim away all of this stuff down here, which we do not want. So when I do the trim, I need to be careful to click on the parts of the line that I want to keep. Because Revit's not smart enough to know which ones we want to keep. We have to kind of tell it explicitly. So it looks like we got everything kind of cut out that we needed to. We expanded this little bump out. We can click the green check and it should look pretty much how we want. Now we just need to go back in and add our tile floor. So we'll go over to architecture, click floor, and then we'll select from our drop-down ceramic tile. We're just going to go make some quick boundary lines. We'll snap to this corner, that corner, that corner, that corner, and then close up our shape. Click the green check to finish that real quick. So there's our tile. If I click on it, I can just double check that it is tile. And then we'll just add this one again real quick. So that was architecture tab, floor, make sure ceramic tile selected. Click there. You're just kind of snapping to these corners. We do want to make sure that we are aligned with our first floor still. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we want to snap over to there too. So that looks good. Click the green check. And then if we go back to our 3D view, we can see we do have everything kind of how we want it, including that little bump out there. Last thing we need to do is our basement. We need to add a concrete floor down there. And you can see here we don't have the faded outline like we did on the first floor, unfortunately, or on the second floor when we had this kind of showing, which is really helpful to help trace that outline. So if we go to the basement, there's one thing we can change in the properties menu. So within the properties menu, you're going to scroll down a little bit and look for underlay. For your base level, we're going to switch that to basement. The top level should be automatically set to ground floor. Click apply, and then we will see that pop up. There's our first floor. So from here, all we need to do is create a floor, and the basement isn't going to go underneath our garage or our porch. So we're just going to kind of trace these lines, click the line tool, and then we can trace all the way around here. So that should be pretty simple to do. We're just kind of snapping to the corners, finishing off our shape. I did forget to change this from ceramic tile. I want this to be a 10-inch concrete floor. So once I've got that selected, I should be able to click the green check and finish that off. So now if I go back to my 3D view, we can see we've got all three of our floors kind of showing. If I hold in the shift key and push in the mouse wheel, I can kind of rotate around my space, and that's looking pretty good. So this video has gotten kind of long. We're right up around half an hour. So I'm going to finish it here. In the next video, we'll start looking at adding some stairs to connect between our floors. All right, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.